Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to a Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcome back to the Polished Beauty segment. Now, according to a 2024 Physicians Foundation report, more than 55% of doctors are considering cutting back on clinical hours due to burnout. And a growing number of them aren't just leaving the profession, they're transforming it. Our guest today has built a platform that reaches millions, reshaping how women access OBGYN education one video at a time. OBGYN by day, viral star by night. We're going to unpack how Dr. Fran outsmarted the algorithm and essentially her medical salary. Dr. Fran Haydanek, known online as Dr. Fran, is a board-certified OBGYN with over 8 years of experience, currently practicing in Rochester, New York. She's also a widely popular digital creator and mom of 3 who has made it her mission to empower women with fact-based healthcare content. And as of this year, she's making more money from her online platforms than she does from practicing medicine. Truly phenomenon. We're going to chat from white coat to ring light, and we're going to welcome Dr. Fran and our co-contributor, Dr. Daisy Ayim, a triple board certified cosmetic surgeon and OBGYN and founder of the Polished Beauty podcast. Welcome to the show, superstars.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. That was quite the intro. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Fran, welcome to the Polished Beauty. You are the embodiment of brains, balance, and beauty, and that's at the core of what we talk about here in the Polished Beauty segment. And this is so fascinating to me, but you built a 6-figure content empire while raising 3 kids. Kudos to you. And now you are calling all doctors to get online. I love this whole narrative that you're out there preaching. So let's take it back to 2021. What inspired you to hit record on your first TikTok, if you will? Was there a specific moment or medical myth you couldn't stay silent on?
So in 2021, I had just graduated from my residency and I took about 5 months off to stay home with my children for a little while. So I was spending a lot of time scrolling on TikTok, and the algorithm learns what you're interested in. And my algorithm quickly learned that I was really interested in things like breastfeeding and birth control. And so it was feeding me all these videos. And so many of them were filled with misinformation. And I was like, well, someone has to address this. And then I was like, well, I can address this. I have nothing but time right now. So I started just, finding people's videos and addressing them or correcting information or expanding on what they were talking about. And that's really how it started. I had all this knowledge I had gained through medical school and my OBGYN residency. And I was like, how do I get this out there? How can people get evidence-based medicine rather than just people saying whatever they want to say? And there is a place for patient experiences online, but there's also a space for actual professionals sharing their medical knowledge with the masses. And not that I had those big plans in 2021, I was just kind of tired of seeing misinformation, but that's where I've landed 4 years later.
I love that you jumped right in, because the social media can have so much misinformation. And you know what? The voices that are loudest tend to be the wrong.
Yeah, and people listen to them. People really take what people say. If you say it with your whole chest, people are going to believe you.
Absolutely.
Without really checking anything that you're saying. And so I had to kind of say it back.
Yeah, confidence is the ultimate drug in social media, So
Absolutely.
I want to know, what were the first signs that your content was resonated financially, and how do you go about monetizing it? Because, physicians, we are raised to think one way. So it's very exciting to see physicians stepping out the box.
Yeah, so in 2023 is when I started making a little bit more money from it. Initially, I was making money just from the creator fund where you got paid for views. And then after a while, I had opportunities to work with brands that I was already talking about. And so that's in 2023 is when that started to pick up a little bit. And then that tripled in 2024. So at the beginning of 2024 is when I signed on with a management company, just because I'm a full-time doctor. I have 3 young children. I don't have time to talk to companies about contracts that I don't understand. So at that point, from 2023 to 2024, I had tripled my income. And then at this point of 2025, I've already made what I made in 2024. So it's just grown exponentially.
Nice.
Fascinating. I love this model. Now, we heard 2025 this year marks a major milestone. You're officially earning more as a content creator than as a full-time physician. What does that say about the value of digital health education, and how did you get here financially, essentially?
I think it just says that there's really a space and that people really have an interest in having professional voices online. So not only having, doctors be online to share the medical information, but people value our expertise and our presence online. When I work with companies, I do charge at a premium because they are using me as a physician voice, as an expert voice, and that should be paid financially higher than someone who can just say whatever they want. Again, it was never my goal. I didn't start this in 2021 to be a financial thing. I did it because I enjoyed it. And when I talk about doctors being on social media, that's number one. You have to enjoy doing this work because that money doesn't happen automatically. It takes years and years of work until you can get to that point. But it is a blessing financially. As we know, you don't really get to be an attending physician until you're almost in your 30s, maybe mid 30s. Now you're 10 years behind in your retirement fund. You could be $300,000 in debt like I am from your medical student loans. And it takes a while to claw your way out of that. And this has given me the ability to have a retirement fund now and work towards getting my loans paid off in a way that, although my real doctor job is very financially sound, this just adds to that.
That's amazing.
So how do you handle criticism from within the medical community when it comes to being visible online? Because, medicine is halfway. The older generation, they see this as sort of like, why is this happening? The younger ones are all in. How do you handle it and balance it out?
Maybe I'm a little oblivious because I don't really get a lot of negative feedback from fellow physicians and other healthcare workers. If they have negative things to say, they're luckily not saying it to my face. And whatever you're saying behind my back is none of my business.
I like it.
Point blank, period.
Let's talk virality, right? So what's been your most viewed or shared post to date? And why do you think it struck such a nerve with your audience?
So my first video that really went really viral is I created a list of OBGYNs who would sterilize younger child-free patients. I was doing it in support of patients who are looking for those kind of physicians. And I, by chance, posted it the day that the Dobbs decision was leaked. And I made a quick video where I was pretending to scrub into surgery, saying like, hey, I have doctors who will tie your tubes for you. And that went massively viral on those days, as you can imagine. And then my list grew. And every time I made a new video of me pretending to scrub into surgery, talking about my list, it always went viral, always got millions and millions of views and shares. And that really is when I went from having like a couple thousand followers to about 100,000 followers in a matter of about a month.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It's always the ones you least expect, right? But the way you translate complex medical topics into relatable sound bites is truly a gift.
Well, I think, as physicians, we spend a lot of time learning how to do that when we are learning to be doctors. We have to learn how we can take medical words and translate it into talking to our patients. That, our patients don't respond to us using complex medical words. We have to be able to talk about it in, layperson words with our patients. And so when I talk to doctors about becoming content creators online, I say, you're already doing this work. You already translate medical things into words that people understand. Now you just have to do it in front of your phone. And that's what patients and people respond to online. They don't want me to talk about like the pathology words. They want me to say like, this can cause cancer and here's a way that we can prevent that, right? They want actionable things and things that they understand.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, every day we're talking to our patients. That's online. It's just in our office. I guess for physician, the drawback is translating that into a camera, pointing at you, and then you have to speak. I think that's where it's holding back a lot of physicians. So
absolutely.
Do you think physicians are at risk of burnout if they take on social media as a second job? Because you mentioned your real job and then social media as a second job. Or does it offer a creative outlet for physicians to be themselves?
For me, it's always been a creative outlet. I enjoy I get to work 20 minutes earlier than I need to because that's my time that in the day where I get to make my video. And then I don't feel burnt out because I know this is my time of the day that I get to focus on this. And then I go and do the rest of my real job, seeing real patients and taking care of them and my family. But that's because I enjoy this work. If you think it's going to burn you out, then I don't encourage people to do that. But if you're looking for something outside of just like your work and maybe like your home life and just something that's like a way to connect with people and a way to be creative, if you're someone who already consumes a lot of social media, you see the trends and you want to participate in them, this is like an easy way to do that.
Yeah, you're spot on. And you're a mom of 3, which makes you even more passionate about life in general, right? And as a practicing OBGYN and a viral content creator at this point, What does your workflow look like? I mean, are there any non-negotiables that keep you sane or at least close?
I mean, I don't actually share a lot about myself in my real life. I do have 3 young children. They're 2, 4, and 6 years old. My content has never been about them. They might like peek in once in a while, but it's never been about them. So that's like a boundary that I have. I don't record my patients ever. Never. That's a huge boundary for me. Like patient stories are not mine to share. So those are my big like hard stops. Is that like I don't share patient stories. I really don't. It's not about me so much, and I think maybe that's why I've grown a lot because me as a person, I'm kind of boring, right? I go into my job and I go home and make dinner and I put my kids to bed and then I fall asleep at 9 o'clock because I'm tired. No one cares about that. But the information that I can provide people want the information. And that's, I think, what has drawn people in is that my content isn't so much about me, but it's about what can I offer to you?
Yeah, it's educating. And
Yeah.
when you leave people with a piece of knowledge that they could remember, that breeds loyalty and they'll keep coming back for more. So once you educate your audience, now you've built trust. And I think with what you just said, every working mom, including Dr. Daisy, exhaled hearing what you just said. It's not about balance, it's about prioritizing purpose. And you've done that really effectively.
Exactly. For me, it's never been
Absolutely.
a thing where I felt like I needed to carve out more time in my life or take things away from other people. But by now being in a place where financially I can make money in different ways in my physician job, I now can also cut back a little bit at my physician job. So I went down. I'm working 2 less days a month at my real job, and I can now spend that time at home, taking my kids to school, picking them up early, and then during the day working on my content. And I can only do that because of being able to make money on social media.
Yeah. I mean, that's wonderful. As far as this is concerned, what role has the medical credibility played in you building your audience as compared to a relatability as a mom? Because, being an MD matters or DO.
Yeah. So for me, I think me being a physician is the reason that I've been so successful on social media. I had previously had a style blog where I shared about myself, what I was wearing to school, what I was wearing on my rotations, and that like did fine, but never had like true virality, never made me tons of money. It was just something, again, I enjoyed. But when I took it outside of myself and made it about the profession, made it about the healthcare, made it as a resource for people, that's when people shared like my content, when people tag me in other content, when they, I get tagged dozens of times a day in other people's videos where people are looking for information on inductions, birth control, breastfeeding, getting their tubes tied, right? So my name gets pushed out there by other people because I'm a resource versus like what I'm doing in my real life, which there's lots of great people who also share their real life on social media and they're, engaging content creators, and I follow them myself. It just wasn't who I was and what I wanted to share. And that's also, I think a lot of physicians don't want to share that. They don't want to share those private things of their life and like what their house looks like and what their morning routine looks like. But sharing medicine, like that's what we're trained in. That's what we're boarded in. That's what we practice for 10 hours a day. And that's what people want to see.
Totally 100% agree.
Yeah. And to the physicians listening right now who are hesitant or skeptical about going public on social media, what's your advice?
You will get way more patients than you would not. I think you'd be surprised how supportive administration can be as long as you're doing it professionally. And I think you can find a lot of personal satisfaction in being a voice of reason and a voice of medical knowledge online, rather than any negatives. And like I said, unless it's your boss, I don't really care what people negatively have to say behind my back. I don't. Like, if you don't like me, that's fine. Block. I block lots of people. That's okay. I can't be for everyone, but I'm going to continue to live my life and hopefully I can serve people in different ways.
I love that. Don't wait until you feel ready. Just start showing
you
up
just have
with
to
what you know.
just show up. People want to hear that no matter what kind of physician you are, what part in healthcare you play. There's people who want to hear about it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not marketing, you're mentoring. And that's the difference.
Exactly.
I like that. You're mentoring, not marketing.
Yeah, I love that.
So if you had to choose one platform to grow in 2025, if you're talking to this physician that's listening to this and say, Dr. Fran did it, I can do it. And if there was one platform, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, what would you say and why?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think it just is going to depend on what you're creating and where you like to get your own content, like where you like to absorb social media. So I've always liked TikTok. Hopefully it doesn't go away. It's, I feel, an easy place to make content for people who don't have a lot of time. As physicians, we don't have a bunch of time to go in a bunch of different apps. I just want to like record my video, splice it together really quick and put it up there. So for me, TikTok has always been where I make my content. And as long as it stays around, that's where I'm going to continue to make my content. But I would say if you are someone who consumes social media, think about where you are consuming it and then work in that space.
Okay. That's solid.
You know.
All right, Dr. Fran, thank you for reminding us that digital platforms aren't just for entertainment. They're truly a form of empowerment. You've shown this, seeing is believing. And you've proven that doctors can be disruptors and educators. And that success doesn't always come in a lab coat. So kudos to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're doing great work. Keep it up.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, both of you stick around for a teaser, and we can't wait to see what you create next, Dr. Fran. For those of you listening, you could head directly to her website, pagingdrfran.com, or check her out on the gram, on TikTok, on Facebook, and on YouTube at Paging Dr. Fran. And of course, you could check out the incredible Dr. Daisy Ayim at thepolishedbeautypodcast.com, or you could check her out on the gram at Dr. Daisy Ayim and at Polished Beauty Podcast. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. That was the Polished Beauty segment. We'll be right back after this. A Moment of Zen is brought to you by the Polished Beauty Podcast with Dr. Daisy Ayim. Hey, ambitious women, ready to shine on the inside and out? Tune in to the Polished Beauty Podcast, where we talk about business, beauty, brains, and body all in one spot. Meet Dr. Daisy Ayim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon, pro-aging advocate, fitness enthusiast, and your go-to for real talk on leveling up every part of your life. The Polished Beauty Podcast is your dose of ambition meets empowerment. For more information, head to polishedbeautypodcast.com.